Hello, everybody. I hope that you all are doing well. Welcome to tonight's stream, which is kind of impromptu. And for those of you who might not know me, my name is Jasmine. I'm a witchy content creator, and yeah, you can check my links down below. But I have a super awesome guest with me on today, so why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I am Hex.
Come on, Hex.
I
Introduce yourself.
am Hex, also known as the Bone Whisperer Hex. I identify as witch, and my practice definitely involves a lot of bones, and I do bone readings. That's like my number one form of divination among many, like tarot and oracle and stuff like that. But that's like my go-to is my bones.
I would love to get a bone reading from you sometime
Oh, we can arrange that.
because I've actually never had my bones read.
Really?
Never.
It's a really I'll tell you real quick. It's a way that I tap into your ancestral line. And so it's very much connecting to the dead. It's a way that I connect with your dead, your sacred dead, ancestors, and so on and so forth. And so I deliver messages through the bone casting, that are personal to you. And,
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, oh, okay, like that's spot on, or, oh, all right, yeah. Like they'll verify, I get a lot of like verification when it comes to like things that are going on and stuff like that. And some people are like, oh, like how would you like know that? And I'm like, it's intuition. It's a little bit of sometimes I do find myself what is the right term? Some channeling can happen through as well when I'm giving messages and I'm looking at the symbols of the pieces in my bone set and stuff like that. So then there's sometimes it's like a liminal space where I tap into, and then some people are like, okay, like that doesn't happen often, but it has happened. It almost startles me too, because it's like a moment of like I'm not in control. But then when I feel it, I've kind of learned to like, okay, it's coming on, it's coming. Let me just allow it to flow, because for a lot of years, I was very spiritual since a young child. And then growing up, I myself had a lot of fear because of the way I was brought up with like Catholic religion and stuff like that,
Right.
And so I did not understand it. And so because I did not understand it, I was taught to fear it. And so I feel like there's some walls that I built up myself to protect myself from the unknown, right? And now as an adult, I'm dedicating myself to bringing those walls down and,
We live.
reconnect.
We live. And Under the Moon says, Hex, you're awesome.
Thank you.
So let's start from the beginning. How did we cross paths? How did it start?
So I started following you like way back when, like a long time ago, where I didn't even have a YouTube channel. I would just like be in chats and stuff. And so I started doing YouTube a while back. I stopped for a while because life gets in the way and stuff like that, but
Always. Yeah.
And so there's not new content in my channel at all that you'll see, but I want to like do things a little bit differently, like celebrate the Sabbaths and maybe like do like an online ritual for people that can just join and watch and celebrate, if there's somewhere where they can't do the festivities that they would if they could, or whatever the case, Because for me, when it's a ritual, right, and even if you're doing it online or something, right, you're casting a sacred space in that moment. So no matter
Absolutely.
where in the timeline someone is tuning in, that sacred space is cast there, and they can tune into that.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it, at least.
Same. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know when we crossed paths. I just know that we started talking, like, I think
Yeah,
maybe a couple years ago, right?
yeah. We would chat here and there, and then yeah, I would tune into your live. Sometimes I won't chat a lot because it depends if it's like a pain day for me or whatever, like, and I'm just like laying down from work and I'm over it. I'll just like pop on the TV and cast from my phone to the TV, so sometimes I'm not even chatting, but I'm definitely watching.
Yeah. I get
So
that.
yeah.
I get that. And you were recently on our stream on Drunken Divs,
Yes, that was fun. That was
and
fun
we were
as fuck
talking
and
about the book.
unexpected
So
because
so
I was
let's
on the
talk about
chat.
that. Let's talk about that.
That was
Let's
fun.
see. Let's see.
That was fun. I loved it.
I loved it too.
Maybe next time I can pull cards.
Oh, please. Well,
Yes.
tell them because it's like their thing. But honestly, I really appreciate you leaving that Amazon review. Because independent authors, like, that makes a big difference for us. So maybe we should just start there with the book and then kind of go from
Yes.
there.
Yes. Let's
Because
start with
I know
that.
that you had said that, like, you had thoughts about the book and then also thoughts about Witchflight in general. So let's
Yes.
start
Yes.
there and then we'll go from there.
Cool. So, do you want me to start with like my experience with Witchflight first?
Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. Cool. So, Witchflight for me, I have been definitely practicing Witchflight for a number of years now. I have experience with some ointments as well, flying ointments, and also like I don't like using the term, but for whatever reason, like fumigation, where it's like burning certain herbs and stuff, and then with the smoke, you get into
Yeah.
trance work, and then sometimes you can even interpret the smoke itself, and it can throw you into a trance-like state. So I've experienced with that as well. Um, and then a few years back, I found a druid Celtic way of traveling to the other world, which involves your sacred space, also known as your Nematon. In those traditions, your Nematon is a sacred space where you can travel to if everything around you is going crazy, or you need a safe space, or you needed to, let's say, do some spell work or anything like that, and you, because of the things surrounding you here in the present, you don't have access to certain things, you're allowed to travel through your mind to your Nematon and be able to do anything that you need to do there. It's a safe space where you get to create your Nematon, right? Through a specific Nematon meditation. And so the Nematon is then created, and it's a door that you have access to. And so this door uh, is part, you find it in the tree. It's known as the witch's tree, tree of life. In your book is the Axis Mundi. And so it's this tree, it's an in-between, right? For me, it's almost like a crossroads or a train station in a way where from all those branches, you're then able to travel through different realms, different dimensions, if you want to call it that, or some people refer to them as dimensions, and stuff like that. And so, like everything, this tree has its branches, its trunk, and its roots, right? So, you, for me at least, in my practice, I'm very open-minded to different possibilities. And so for me, this is a whole like multiverse of any and every possibility
Right.
that witches can tap into And from that, really connect to our, like, for me it's also ancestry and our roots. Like,
Yeah.
I've been able to cross paths with deities. I've been able to cross paths with like mythological creatures through,
Right.
of course, for me, it always starts through the Nematon meditation. That's at least the way that I've been able to be really successful, where I can then see myself walking through the woods and feel and almost smell. For me, smell is a very specific thing.
Same.
For me, it's
Same.
so funny because for me, like, it's happened where I've walked in a place, like, let's say either a friend or something, and like for me, it comes like if it's witchcraft or magic that has been cast, or maybe something was cast upon the person, I would smell like tobacco, like burning tobacco leaves. But for me, I connect through my ancestors through that, because it's because of the region I was born from in Puerto Rico, right? Tobacco played a really big thing as well in my ancestry. And so for me, it's a plant that I use to connect with that. And so I'll smell that. Or sometimes, how they'll say like some haunted places or like darker entities or whatever will have like foul kind of smells or whatever. I've never experienced that at all, but I have experienced certain smells, right? Like, for example, like a grandmother, and I'll smell like roses or something, or floral. Or, for example, my mother's grandmother loved gardenias,
Right.
and every so often, and I know when I know she's around, I'm like, oh, I got a whiff of gardenia, you know, just like if someone walked right past you. Now I remember as a child, I would be able to see them like I can see a person. Not anymore though. And those are the type of walls that I've been working to bring down.
Yeah.
Because I remember being able to be a kid and having conversations like I have with a regular person. Now I have sense of smell, sometimes hearing. It's funny, not too long ago, an aunt of mine that lives not too far away.
The lioness Hex says, hey, hey, fellow Boricua here. Wait, bye.
Hey, hey, girl, wepa. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
So
so funny because like when I see that, I think of like wallahi, like which is not the same thing whatsoever. Like I think of like wallahi, but um, so yeah, that's very interesting. Um, so from that background, what did you think of this book? That's like so UPG, so
I
because I was
connected.
nervous. I was nervous about it.
Yes, which to me, you don't have to be, girl. There was so much in here that I can identify with. Like, even with my own personal upbringing and stuff like that. Because it's funny. It's funny. I'm all over the place, so let me try to gather myself together, because I haven't been able to write my notes yet, but I will. So I'm first gonna start, since I spoke about me and accessing the Access Monday through my Nematon. I want to say just a little bit real quick. The way I see it is my door pops up, right? And this door is part of this, I mean, massive tree. This tree to me has no beginning and no end. It's just massive. And so I have access to this door. Sometimes you won't know. It depends where you want to go. If you want to just be in your Nematon, in your sacred space, you can. You can wander out of that too, and then go through and continue traveling and exploring. I have explored the Hollowed Woods. I've come across the Hollowed Woods, and other places in your book, which we will talk about. And so many more. Sometimes the door can change color, it can change appearance. A new door would appear in front of you. Sometimes I connect that with the Witches Council. where the way I pictured it, so then, you know how you talk about the S-bats and how the cardinal changes with every moon. And so for me, that cardinal that crosses over for that month, who then is accessible to anyone that wants to connect with that moon, with that cardinal and its teachings and their meaning, opens that doorway through that tree. So it's a door that then is opened every month that then you can also have access to. That's the way I kind of see it sometimes, where
Absolutely.
a member of the Witches Council can appear when you're ready to write. I'm in meditation, ready to go to my Nematon, and I'm picturing my door, but that can change. And so sometimes what I'm found with is a different door, and a door that hasn't been opened by me, but where I see a council member standing there, and is then, this is where you're traveling to now, if you're willing. And so I go for it. Like, when it comes to the council, for me, I connect because they are like the ancestors of the other world. Like, for me, they are the roots of the tree. Like, they are the most ancient. They are like for me, they're not even like any close to us humans. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but they play a very, very big part. For me, they're very neutral, right? For them,
Right.
it's not about being good, bad, or anything. It's more like, what is good for the traditions, the protection of this tree, which for me, it's Yggdrasil. It's the tree of life. It is our ancient tree. It is everything. I mean, we see the tree as a big part of all life, and different cultures as well. And so for me, they are like an extension of this tree as well. Like, they are everything. They're the air that's in the other world. They are everything, and for me, the council plays a very big part on everything that is allowed and isn't allowed, and how everything will go down and what won't go down.
Definitely. Yeah. And like Vioness said, like primordial beings.
Yes.
100%. Yeah. And like in the book, I talk about it too, but like I really feel like the council has spoken to me like where I live, right? Like there's a big wooded area right there. And when I go out into the woods and I go clear my head, I can hear that whisper hiss from the council.
Yes.
Sort of like in my ear, being like, honey, go do this, go do that. Or like, you know how they call it crow brain? Where they're like, it's like, oh, save that jar. I kind of see it as like the council is like, you want to save that jar for
They
this.
influence. It's like an influence. Yeah.
It is. And I
Yeah.
feel like it's the wise hag or the wise crone, depending on the Esbat. And I tried to kind of like explain how I perceive the council as best I can in the book, with also keeping kind of fourth power, if that makes sense.
I get that. But it's, I feel also part, like, us as witches, however you identify, right? Maybe if you don't call yourself a witch and you have a magical tradition or a magical journey that you are you're a magical being, period. Now I went on a tangent and I forgot what we were talking about real quick.
We were talking about the witch council and like how we hear their whispers and like what that means for us.
For me, the witch's flight and connecting to this other world and the tree and even the witches council, us as magical people, we have a wicked imagination. And for me, a lot of my practice is seeing situations. I'm a big thrifter too, so even if I'm collecting things and
Same.
shopping around,
Shut up, because
I try
same.
to look at things with witchy eyes. That's the way I describe it, right? Witchy eyes, or magical eyes. And so I really try to find the magical side of anything. And for me, this other world can be part of anything you want it to be. There's room for all of it. There's room for all of it. It is open to your interpretation and your connection. For me, I love D&D. And that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Okay, but what's your class?
That also helped
what do you play?
open my imagination.
Hex, what do you play in D&D?
I am is it Tengu? Tengu. I'm like a Tengu bird / raven crazy witch creature.
Like a tank? Like a warrior tank?
Yes, but so I'm more like warrior, but almost like gone hermit.
Okay.
So yeah, almost like retired warrior, gone hermit, but don't fuck with me.
See, I always play like the healer. Like I'm always like the priest. In every D&D campaign, or for those of you who play World of Warcraft, I literally always play the priest.
My birth card is a Hierophant.
When's your birthday, Hex?
October the 14th.
Oh, okay.
I am a Libra.
Not us both being Libras. We should do a thing of like Libra live. Because I'm a Libra too.
I'm down. When is yours?
September 27th.
Okay.
Yeah. Which here's the tea about that. I was supposed to be a Scorpio, right? I was supposed to be born on like October 31st.
Me too!
Literally. But I was given my mother blood pressure from the womb to the tomb. So I had to be born early. And so I was born like almost a whole month early because like her due date was October 31st, but she had to be induced September 27th. And I was born as like a preemie, right? But I was a massive, long, fat, chubby baby. And I was so hairy. I was the hairiest baby, which is probably why she had so much high blood pressure. But like as a little baby, she could put my hair in a ponytail on top of my head, and I had a whole unibrow. Like I can show you my infant pictures. I had a whole unibrow, a mustache. Like I was hairy. I was like a little werewolf baby. For real.
That's funny.
It's good to see you, Pagan Crafton and Bougie Mystic. Kelvin, good to see you here. Bougie says, same. I was once shopping in the Goodwill, GW, and when I looked in the direction where a wooden spoon was sitting, I saw a burned pentacle within the scoop part. I never picked up something so fast, period. Yeah, no, we were talking about that earlier because my grandmother was born yesterday. And she's 91. My grandmother is, and we're celebrating her birthday tomorrow. I'm going to go over there tomorrow because I had to work yesterday. But yeah, growing up, we used to always celebrate our birthdays together. Not Jazz. Okay, first of all, I'm not part werewolf. I refuse. Like, I was joking. I was just born super hairy. I don't think that I'm a werewolf. I do know that I'm a vampire, for sure. Which we can get into that, too, honey. Hex, I'm looking at these comments. Sorry.
You're good.
Under the Hidden Moon says, I dated a guy who was born October 31. He was naturally freaky. Scorpios are. And you know what? I thank the gods every single day that I'm not a Scorpio sun because I have so many Scorpio placements already. If I was a Scorpio sun, I would be like, I wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would be like Amy Winehouse. Like, I would be like in the 27 club. Like, I would have. I feel like the Libra sun kind of balances me out.
Yeah, for me too.
Oh, thank you, Pagan Crafting. Goodwill, the G will, because I like popping tags. Come on. And also, Bougie, I sent you a link if you want to join. You can come up on here. My daughter is on September 23rd. Hail Libras. Can I just be honest? And correct me if I'm wrong, Hex. And I know that you're a Libra too. But I really feel like, you know, that Libra is the only inanimate object of the zodiac.
Yes.
Every single zodiac is like an animal, or
it's not a living being. We're our symbol is scales. Everything else has a living being or creature.
Literally.
We're the only ones that our symbol isn't a living being.
Okay, Bougie said say less. Give me 5 minutes. See, here's my thing, right? People say, well, who are you to judge? Well, I am Libra. So actually I am the one to judge, right?
For me, it's like I am the balance.
And like Libras, we can be out of balance too. And when we're out of balance, like when a Libra is out of balance, it's like chaos becomes everything around them. Because I've seen it firsthand with other Libras, and I've been it. Yeah, and I've been it too.
Yes, it can become and that's part of like knowing our temper, because for me as a Libra, you do have your light and dark aspects,
right?
Because of that balance. Again, because we tap into that balance so we can balance. We try to balance ourselves, but most of all, sometimes those around us, whatever the situation is around us, we try to balance it out.
We're literally like the diet Leos of the zodiac. Like, we're diet Leo because we're the people pleasers. We're like, we want everyone to feel comfortable, everyone to feel good. We put everyone above ourselves. But there's also very much a shadow side to Libra that people don't always see, because like when we're out of balance, we make our entire environment out of balance.
Well,
like if we are not in balance, we will make everyone out of balance. Like we will be the negative energy in the room.
Throw people out of balance. Yes, we can definitely throw people out of that balance for sure.
Under the Hidden Moon says Libras are usually the most creative of the zodiac, from my observation. Maybe. I think Libras are pretty creative. I think Aries are very creative. I know a lot of Aries that are very artistic. I think fire and air signs for sure. For sure. Oh, Leanne. My intuition said, hey, check the subscriptions, and here you guys are on. You know, the crazy thing is that a lot of people have been unsubscribed to my channel randomly.
I've heard about that before.
Yeah. Like,
I don't
people
understand it.
And like there's people that I follow on YouTube that like I'm like, I haven't seen them in a while. And then I go check up on them and I'm like, why am I
That
unsubscribed?
happened to me not too long ago. I was like, I don't know what it was. I was looking for someone that I expected on like Sunday to usually go live or whatever. And when I look, I had it said I was subscribed, but the little bell wasn't next to like the all. And I'm like, why? Like usually when I subscribe to someone, I hit all in order to like never.
No, but see, my thing is like I'm literally removed. Like people are getting removed.
That's
so
crazy.
Make sure, for all of you watching, if you're subscribed to a creator, make sure that you are still subscribed, because YouTube is doing this whole new thing. And also make sure that you're hitting the bell to get all notifications, because like there's about, I don't know, half a dozen creators that I follow that I've had to literally go back and resubscribe.
That's crazy.
Welcome, Aren. Welcome, Bougie.
Hey.
Welcome on. We're talking about Witchflight. We're talking about the book. So
So
We're talking about bone
done.
cast, talking about the fact that Hex and I are both
Libras.
Obviously superior. We're about to enter our season.
Let me find out you talking about bone casting though. Like almost nobody talks about that anymore.
I have a few I like to say outdated videos. But I have to do like some updated ones for sure.
Yes.
My set has definitely grown way more since last time. I
well,
showed,
and
like,
when I get my first bone casting, Hex, like you're the one who's gonna do it because I've never had my bones done.
Okay.
So
ooh, it'll be your birthday gift for me.
No, I'm gonna pay for
yes.
it. No, I'm gonna pay for
Period.
it. No, I'm gonna pay for it.
Period.
No, because I want to pay for all of my services.
It's okay. It's your birthday gift. I don't want to hear it.
This is too entertaining.
No, I will literally pay for it. And also,
you don't understand.
Too,
your birthday is very important. It is a celebration for you, and
I'm gonna pay for it.
The only ancestors, honey.
No, because I'm gonna pay for it, and you can give it to me as a gift, but I'm gonna still tip you. How's that?
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, and how much do your bone readings go for?
I usually do 45 for
Good to know.
About an hour.
Because I'll be paying for my reading.
You're terrible.
Why'd you tell her?
How about that?
Didn't they just scale Libra down from the original, which was Justice? George, I don't know what you're talking about.
The attack is real.
Scale the Jada. I don't know what you're talking about. Hecsen has the most amazing charm casting book with illustrations. Oh, I don't know about this, Hex.
I don't. I haven't written a book. I've never written a book on that.
I don't know, Leanne, what you're talking about.
I have not written a book on that. I've shown a book on it. I don't have it anymore. I did hand it over to a nephew of mine who has learned bone casting, and so he I taught him, but then I gave him the book as well because it's the book I learned from, and so I also then made my own technique for it and my way of connection through it and all that, and made it my own. So
it's like part traditional and then part your own blended, like a blended practice.
I have. So in my traditions that I grew up Catholic, but we're also
no way.
I'm Native Caribbean, and so
no way.
We have a lot of like African influence and stuff like that. So in that, it's you could read shells, sometimes coconut can be read. There's these little things that you can carve out of coconut, and so you can read that. There's a few different forms of divination. I connected with the bones for sure.
Heck, even in that here, like coconuts can be read too, in the sense that when you throw the coconuts, you throw 6, and if they're face up or face down, it means like yes or no. So like if you have 6,
oh my god, it's like almost the same thing.
Yeah, but like here's the thing though, right? Is that like Sahir, or like Middle Eastern conjure, North African conjure, Middle Eastern folk magic, Eastern folk magic, Caribbean magic, it's all so connected. Because when we throw coconuts in our tradition of Sahir, when you're throwing the coconut is thought to be like liminal. So you're asking a liminal spirit of the coconut a question. And you throw 6 because like you have 3 and 3, right? Yes. So if all 6 come upright, it's like a strong absolutely yes. If all 6 are downturned, it's like a strong no. But usually it's like there might be 4 upright and 2 downturned. But every once in a while it's 3 and 3. And like that's a thing too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we have that too, even in like Middle Eastern sort of like magic folk practices of like Lebanon and Armenia, and I think even in Greece too.
That's so interesting. That is so interesting.
Ah, Abby the Witch is here. Hello, Abby.
Oh. She's been sharing so many pictures.
I hope that you and your baby are doing so well. Let me know if you need anything, neighbor, because I will literally come up there, and if like you want, you know, I can bring some things if you're right, okay?
Abby, why have I not seen a registry though?
Literally, I haven't either. Kelvin says, "Hey, Abby." The Vionist says, "Hey, Abby." Abby, we all miss you. And we love you, Abby. We love you. Yeah, so, okay, so Turkish seer says is very similar to Sahir. See, here's the thing. People think that Sahir is like this whole bit, but really Sahir in Arabic just means black magic. Like it means like essentially folk magic of the Middle East. So technically Egyptian magic, Lebanese magic, Jordanian magic, Iraqi magic, it's all said here. It's all folk magic. I made a TikTok about this recently, actually talking about the influence of ceremonial magic of the Middle East in Western practices. And people on TikTok went wild because they were like, no, because like I'm Wiccan. And I'm like,
so
cool. Like, do you know where that has come from? Do you know where that has come from? Like most magical traditions can trace their roots back to what's called the cradle of civilization, which is the Levant. Like all of us, if we go way, 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 way back far enough, we're all from the cradle of civilization. And look at the magic from there. Right.
I think a lot of people are like reluctant to agree with that because of all this like cultural appropriation discussion, and then I was like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean I can't practice it anymore? And I think that's what it is. So they just want to shut down the conversation rather than like investigate.
Honey, and let me tell you this. I've been told that I am culturally appropriating my own culture.
Same.
Make that make sense. I've also been told recently there's a new rumor. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's a new rumor going around on not YouTube, TikTok, that I'm a fake trans person and I'm only relevant because I'm trans. Like I'm faking being trans.
Oh, girl.
Wait, how does someone even fake being trans? Like that's what
Oh no, people are making content about how I'm not actually trans and that I'm just faking being trans for clout, which is so funny to me because like for one, I don't even really make transgender related content like that. And so if I was faking it, I would be doing a horrible job. A horrible job at making money off of it. And also, like, what do you want me to do? Stand up? Like, what do you want me to do?
Wow.
Damn.
That's so, yeah.
Get a life.
Touch.
I mean,
whoever you are.
That just says that you're doing a great job representing your femininity. That's all I'm hearing. So.
I guess. But you know what? For me, when people are like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that you were trans. I think that most people mean that as a compliment. And I genuinely think that most people think that that's like, oh, you're serving CUNT, you're serving fish, you're serving woman. But for me and for many other trans women, when you say that to us, what you're saying is if you would have clocked T, you would have treated us differently. Like, that's what we hear in our head.
That's
right?
Fair.
And maybe that's trauma. Maybe. But to me, when you say, like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that you were even trans, that tells me that if you did have an idea, you would treat me different. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So, okay, revisiting. We all have ADHD. We're all kind of spectrumy. Revisiting Witchflight. And Hex and I were talking about how we kind of like cross paths. Bougie, RN, how did we cross paths? How did we initially meet? Let's get into that. Where did we meet? I know that I saw you on my Shaba Yaldas at one point.
Wait, you're what?
My Shaba Yaldas live stream?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it was just YouTube, honestly. Because I mean, honestly, I don't really go on TikTok very much. But yeah, I think I found you on YouTube first. I want to say it was Black Lent, but I feel like I was already following you and watching you before the Black Lent.
Yeah, I feel like it was older than Black Lent.
Yeah.
Because Black Lent was just like last year. And I feel like we've been kind of like interacting for like the past 2 years. Maybe?
Yeah, something like that. Honestly, I have no sense of time anymore. I didn't have much before Miss Rona visited us, but once she did, I never bounced back. I never bounced back.
So what did you think of the Witchflight book?
I'm still on chapter 10, so I haven't fully finished
chapter 10.
But so far, I really like it. I've been seeing a lot of similarities. I did talk to you about, like, I did not expect to see... I don't know how much more Appalachian nuggets of magic you're gonna release in the book. I'll find out when I finish it. But I was very surprised to see that, and because with us, with my family having some like North Georgia, like the southern portion of Appalachia residency, there is some Appalachian folk magic that we use, and I think in the book you called them what did you call it? The triangles. The stick triangles. I forgot what you called them in the book.
The tree wards. The tree wards.
Yes.
The tree wards.
Yes, the tree wards.
I've
so
got
we actually
one.
call them...
I actually have one hanging up right there, on the other side of this. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, the tree wards.
Oh my god, I hate that image. Could I just say I hate that image?
No.
I love all the images.
I love
Thank
all the
you.
images. I love the what's the word?
That tree ward image text that you pulled up is actually a real tree ward from our coven at an actual ritual site. Like, that's actually tea. Because I was very inspired, right, by Janet and Stuart Farrar and the Witch's Bible. Because do you remember when they had all those images of them actually doing real ritual? That inspired me, and I was like, you know what? I want to include some real photos. But then I was also like, no, we shouldn't do that. Fourth power. We shouldn't do that. But yeah, no, that other image I don't love, just because I feel like, honey, the wig was not laid.
I like this image. It's from the chapter chapter 10, the chapter you're on.
Oh my god!
Oh yes! I love that one. I think that's like, my favorite.
You with a red veil, and then just in the background, the woods. Like, it's epic. That picture is epic.
Thank you. I thought that was like maybe a little bit too dramatic.
I loved it.
It was amazing. I really love it. I love the versatility of the art, because like you'll have like fully created art, you'll have fully photographic art, and then you'll do the blending of the two. It's like it's really good. It's not like it's one-dimensional art. And then you also have the literary art with the way that you describe things. I'm just loving the book, and that's probably why I'm not trying to plow through it, because I just really want to savor it, and I'm definitely gonna reread it immediately. Like I don't reread books immediately. Like I usually have to wait like months or a year between. As soon as I close the book, it's getting picked. It's opened up again, and we're rereading it. Because I'm just.
I read it 3 times.
Heck. You guys.
I devoured it, because the first time I was trying to like really sink everything in and like explore and all of that, and then the second time it was like, okay, like, and I went in on like, you know, learning like about specific spirits and stuff like that. Because then my second time around, after I went through the book, I then went back to the spirit, Liber Spiritus, and I went through it, and I was like, okay, like what connections can I have, or what of these spirits I feel I've encountered and seen and might have a connection to. You get what I'm saying? And so I went through those first again. Like I went back to that and read through those and stuff like that.
I will say that this book almost didn't get published because, like, and you know my bestie, Astradia. You guys know her probably from Daughters of Cain, but also like members of our coven. Like there was a lot of nights where I texted them and I was like, I don't think I can do this. Like, I don't think I should do this. Even though my familiar spirit, Vittoria Maria, was like, no, bitch, you're going to do this. And I was like, me? I don't think so. Like, and for those of you who don't know, like, I technically have a 10th grade education. Like, I have no, like, college degree, like, not even, like, a high school diploma. Like, at 16, I basically got married and, like, started doing the whole homemaking thing. So, like, I'm kind of illiterate. Like, and so, not that I feel bad about that, right? Because I choose my own path, but who am I to be writing a book? Like, I'm a social media light and I review books. I don't write books. But Vittoria was like, no, you're going to write this book. If you want this from me, I want this from you. And I'm like, oh, the devil must have messed this up because I'm not that kind of girl. Like, this pack must have been wrong because I can't do that. Like, I'm dyslexic. I have learning disabilities. Like, I'm not properly educated. Like, who am I to be writing a book? And she was like, you're going to do it. And I was like, okay, well, we'll see. And Ivy's Grove, like, thank you. I'm really interested to see what you have to say as well, Ivy. I appreciate your opinion. And I would have sent you a free PDF if you wanted one. Because, like, I have so many friends online where I'm like, do you want a PDF? And then people are like, no, I'm going to buy it. And I'm like, heh, heh. Do you want a PDF? Abby says, still getting through your book. It's wonderful. Thanks, Abby. Oh my God. Aww. I'm going to throw up. You guys are too nice.
I'll tell you, I read my book in between breaks, in between shifts at work. Sometimes I make it to work like an hour and a half before. So I was like,
Hex, can I ask what you do? Can I ask what you do?
Oh, I work for a metaphysical company. They're really like a retail business now. They've definitely grown to have like over 100 and some stores. And so I'm an assistant manager for one of their stores. And so I sell crystals and clothing, and yeah, I'm actually really happy there. I love it because I get to kind of like, I see it as an extension of my magical path, which isn't
absolutely
easy to do when you're in retail and stuff like that. So yeah, but I would definitely love to continue growing in this company. There's opportunity to like keep growing and stuff like that. So I don't know if I want to run my own store, but before I get anywhere else, I have to. So I'm definitely going to do that at one point, but I've been offered to run my own store a few times already, and I'm just like, no, it's not the time, because I love what I'm doing and everything, but I also want to have time for my personal journey as well. And I've ran retail stores before, and like I really had no life outside of work, and so I don't want to go back to that. So,
honey, I get it.
So I want to say real quick, because we were talking about how I connected, right, my personal witch flight through the Nematon and the Axis Mundi, the witch's tree. I identified a lot with your technique on the mirror jumping. That interested me a lot because
For real? You like that?
are a big part of my practice. And
Okay, because I kind of felt like the Black Mirror for American traditional witches, the Black Mirror is like very basic. But like a lot of witches don't think of it as a flying tool. Like they think of like using ointments and like the besom and whatever. But like the mirror through scrying has been so powerful for me.
For me also, there's something about like the Black Mirror, or also like a black cauldron filled with water, or like sometimes I would add like a few drops of essential oil to the water, and you just light one candle and you're in a dark room, and like for me, like the depths of a cauldron and just staring into like the dark abyss of it, like also can take me into trance and really throw me into a trance, and then like almost me travel through it. But I don't know if that also has to do with my connection with water as well in general. Like I am an air sign, right? But through
what's your moon sign, Hex?
What's that, the second one, right? Moon sign is the second one, and then rising, right? It's sun, moon, and rising.
Yeah.
Is that the order?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Libra, Sagittarius, Pisces.
Shut up, because I'm Libra, Sun, Pisces, Moon, Aquarius rising.
What?
Not us being like so fucking alike right now. Get the fuck
I
out.
love that.
That's why we relate. Yeah. No, and I think it's really cool because like, so I published this book on the first harvest. The first harvest, Sabbat, is when this book came out. It's been out now for a little bit over a month, and I've had witches from Poland, from different parts of the Americas, from Latin America, from Canada, from South Africa. Earlier today, I was on an interview with a witch from South Africa talking about this, and it's like all of us from different cultures and different backgrounds relate to Witchflight and the Hollowed Woods. And maybe the spirits in different ways, maybe the kingdoms by different names, but it's the same thing. And like that to me makes it UPG going to SPG, right?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. For me, so the way the image, I know I marked it. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
See, I thought that my mirror jumping ritual was very basic.
I think it's a good foundation ritual.
It's a good foundation.
It can be built upon.
Yes. It's a good foundation.
That same ritual is also...
For me, it works. For someone who doesn't know the technique, or they're first exploring even what mirror jumping would be, it's very well said. Just like, for example, like the council, right? Like I know that if you could write a whole book on them, you would, like, or you could at least. I feel. So that's my imagination, right? But even with the amount of space you had and everything, like you did well at understanding the topics. This is why, for me at least, I went back and read the book 3 times because of trying to grasp the concept of the cardinal. There's a lot in this book. There is a lot in this book.
It's also some things in that book.
Take your time reading it and absorbing it, and go back and reread it.
It's also some things in that book that I don't spell out because they are 4th power. But if you look at the images, especially with like the horned moon, which is like the symbol of our coven, I kind of give like a subtle like a subtle nod, because like it's certain things, right? Like in one chapter I talk about our coven craft with a possession ritual, And I had to kind of change the names and like change certain things in order to keep that fourth power, because like I have to be respectful of my own tradition. But I still wanted to share about the fact that like when I was possessed by the devil, it was not the devil in red or green or black or gold. I met the devil in the Hollowed Woods as a little eldritch, weird child thing that was like, let me in. And I was like, I am. And he was like, no, you're not. And I was like, no, I am. And then come to find out, right? I have some friends who are in some ATRs and they were like, oh, that sounds like someone who I'm not going to name publicly because that's not my place to speak on it. But they were like, in our tradition, he often appears at a crossroads like so, like that. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was in that possession ritual, like that's who came to me. And see, that's the thing too, is that there's plenty of witches who they call themselves witches or even priestesses, but they don't believe in spirit work. And like trans prophecy is a part of our tradition. So a witch subverting their vessel for a spirit to possess is just kind of second nature for us. Obviously in like a specific environment, of course. But yeah, I wrote about that, being possessed by the devil. And then there's witches being like, we don't believe in the devil and da 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 da. Honey, maybe you don't believe in the devil. And that's fine. Because this is not the book of Witchflight. This is Ambrosia's book of Witchflight. Does that make sense? If you don't like what you read, honey, don't read it.
Or take from it what you will and do your own thing with it. But
literally,
at the same time, don't try and criticize because a witch done work her craft and made it to work for themselves. Like for me, I'm like I said, I'm very open-minded, and again, it is up for. There's enough space in the other world for you to build whatever the hell you want to build.
Absolutely. And also this is not the book of Witchflight, and this is also not really even an academic book. It's my book. This is my show, not yours. Okay.
But see how I identified with the Witchflight, right? And the way I connect through Witchflight, through the Nematon, my Nematon door, and the Witch's Tree, I was able to then associate with this as well.
Well, and that's what I was saying earlier, Hex, is it's actually a lot of witches from literally like South Africa, Canada, the Americas, Latin America, Italy, fucking Germany, okay? That are like, oh, we have this in our practice. So I think it's cross-cultural. Maybe we call it by different names. Maybe we call it by different names or whatever, but like there is a current here that if you consider yourself a traditional witch, there's a current.
Yes. That we can
see, I didn't actually used to think I fell in the category of traditional witch.
Oh, come on. You know that you do.
I do now, especially with the book, because there's just so many similarities. But I didn't realize how much other cultures had been synchronized to, because the foundation is a Roma practice and that ethnic culture. So I kind of thought that it had a lot of standalone stuff, like, because when I was learning it and being taught it and stuff like that, there wasn't any like comparison. There wasn't any bouncing off of other cultures. Like, hey, we got this from that, or this influenced our way, or this is similar to this practice. Like, it was just taught very straightforward and very matter of fact. And so, like, I'm kind of like, as I like to call it, decoding and kind of finding, oh, I wonder if this influenced that, or like when I was talking about, we call them witch portals, but the tree wards. We actually we only make the triangle ones, but we call them I forget what the word for portal is. I think it's actually door. Yeah, we actually say witch door. It's like Juviano Caputa or something like that. I think that's actually gate. Never mind. I can't remember what the word. Oh no, Vaudeur. Juviano
Well,
Vaudeur.
I learned about the tree wards actually from the Witch Council directly. And then I was kind of told in my ear from like a whisper hiss, like, pick up those sticks, get some string, we'll go and do this. And like my crow brain was like, okay, I have to do this. And then I did. And then later I found out that apparently where I live in like the Appalachias of America, it's actually a tea. It's a whole tea. The tree wards are. And so, but I didn't know that before. I was just listening to the Witch Council.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the few things that I did know, like, was Appalachian magic that we picked up when my family moved to America in North Georgia. But a lot of other things, like, I didn't realize the similarities. Like, to kind of bounce back on what you were talking about earlier about the different names for Witchflight, we actually call it wind riding.
That's neat.
Yeah, so
see, you also have, right? See, this is a whole other debate that I was like looking into the other day too, because it threw me on a tangent. Then looking at other forms of Witchflight, right, where you have hedge riding and stuff like that as well. Where it was a debate where like it was like someone who was calling themselves a hedge witch, but had no idea like the definition of like actually going past the hedge.
And see, I like to call myself an American traditional witch at this point because like cosmic witch, hedge witch, kitchen witch, whatever, like that's all different types of witchery. But I feel like American traditional witchcraft represents where I'm at right now. And like Under the Moon says, what I'm really loving, I don't have my contacts in, y'all. Sorry. So I have to like squint at the screen. What I'm really loving is that Jasmine is full open about her book being UPG. Unlike authors in past who would claim UPG as fact, they would never admit it. See, here's my thing. I think that actually we need more people publishing UPG because I think that unverified personal gnosis is what is going to push the modern witchcraft revival movement to the future. Speaking for myself, I am sick and I am tired of seeing Scott Cunningham's work just published over and over and over. We get it. You're eclectic. We get it. Let's do something different, you know? Gannon says, I don't know if anyone else has said this, but once Jasmine published the book based on her UPG, it made my own experience and practice seem so much more powerful. Gannon, I'm going to throw up. I hope, I mean, my intention was never to even write a book. Like, I was pressured into it by a familiar spirit, and I hope that, like, I don't know. I mean, I even told Australia, I was like, I don't even know if, like, 10 people would, like, even read this book. Like, who's gonna read my work? And she was like, bitch.
But see, that's where the unverified it's gonna go away.
Well, it's like I've
almost
heard
like an acknowledgement where depending on your magical path, right? There's people connecting because everything is interconnected, just like the roots of those trees and the branches. So it's a way of people identifying no matter which way.
Well, and like I've heard people literally like kind of share like SPG, like shared personal gnosis, being like, oh, I've been to those hollowed woods. But like we have that in our tradition, in our initiatory tradition. in ATW, like most trad witches have gone to that place. Not all trad witches explore the watchtowers that we call upon when we cast a circle. But like I wrote this book also not only from a place of UPG, but from a American traditional witches perspective. And I thought that I was very forthcoming about that. But Gannon, some people don't like the fact that it's a work of UPG, which is literally what I knew would happen, is that like some old cucks, some like 45-year-old white man would be like, well, that's not really real. She made all that up. Literally.
Definitely
Betty, I'm
not,
glad
'cause
that
I've
you're
been
reading
there.
it. I'm catching up on chat. In the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains where I grew up, tree wards were as common as well. Yeah, so I didn't even know that because I'm actually originally from the East Coast, but my family moved to the Midwest. And then the more time I spent out in those woods here, I was like, oh, I hear like the whisper hiss of the council being like, baby, pick up those branches. Take those branches out and tie you up in some man. And I'm like, okay, all right, cool. The Vioness says, I've related to the flights with my coping mechanisms, with my mental health.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. She said, I don't know, maybe it made me feel less crazy. You know, as someone who also struggles with mental health stuff, like when I saw your review video, like I totally get it because it is an escape mechanism, and that's also found in witch trial records. So,
Well, and that for me almost is like the whole right there, the way I connect with the Nematon. That is the whole, like in the Druidic traditions, the Nematon is that it is then a safe space that you can travel to, no matter what is going on around you, whether you're in an unsafe space or whatever the case is. It is a place where you can take your mind to.
Well, and there are records of witches under immense torture, ripping their spirits from their body. That way they don't have to actually endure the torture that they were being put under, having their hair ripped out, their skin burned, you know, things I don't even want to talk about on YouTube. And they found themselves in the same hollowed woods that we all find ourselves in. And I find that to be, I don't know, like that's powerful. Datura Rose says, I'm halfway through so far. I love the topics and the way they're organized. It's so interesting reading a book, knowing the true sound of the author's voice. It's a fucking experience.
Yes.
I will say this.
It is. It is.
Yes. You're so right.
Oh my God, stop. I will say this. I wrote this book listening to a dark academia classical music Beethoven playlist. I strongly encourage you to listen to like a classical instrumental gothic dark academia playlist when you read it, because that's how I wrote it.
I strongly encourage you to share the playlist.
I will.
Thank you.
I will.
Yeah.
Storm says all witchcraft came from someone's UPG at some point.
Facts.
I mean, I agree. And I think that, you know, my controversial opinion is that ceremonial magic, ritual magic, I'm not talking about folk magic. I'm talking about high magic, ceremonial magic. This comes from the place of the cradle of civilization. Like we can trace these grimoires from this specific tradition to this particular era, right? Like that particular era, we can trace this back to. If you think that that's not Serbia or Arab or Middle Eastern influenced, honey, Habibi, you're sick, is what you are.
Even in Kabbalah, in the Jewish mysticism, there's so much Middle Eastern influence.
Well, Jews are
So
still
much.
Semitic. Like, Jews and Arabs are Semitic.
Yeah.
We're both Semitic. Like, it comes from the same place. And it's been spread to, like, different landscapes and cultures, and there's a lot of overlap, of course. But it's a lot of people on the internet basically trying to act like white people Wicca is the tea.
I shouldn't laugh, but I can't help it.
But like, that's
Listen,
fine.
we all started
That's
somewhere. And I
fine.
started Wiccan, but I
Yes,
really
same.
quickly fell out of the whole harm none, do what you will.
No,
You
and
know,
like
I am
that's
proud.
hold on.
I am a proud.
I mean, I'm
not
sorry,
trying-
it's not a realistic thing. I mean, I feel like if I see Wicca as maybe a midpoint for some people, I'm not like shitting on the whole thing. Maybe like as a
No, and I do want to make it clear
training.
that I don't want to shit on Wicca because
Yeah.
like I do think that Gerald Gardner and Alex Sanders and Raymond Buckland were very much founding fathers, right? And I'm not really trying to shit on it, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying like when I made my post talking about ceremonial magic and its roots, I had the white people on TikTok basically being like, I'm Wiccan. And I'm like, where do you think Gardner got that from? Like, Gardner came about in like 1960. He was initiated into a coven, the New Forest Coven, maybe before 1960, but where do you think they got that from? Because they borrowed it from Crowley, and Crowley was part of the Golden Dawn. And where
there's
do you
some
think the Golden Dawn
rumors
got
that
it from? They got it
the
from
New
the Knights
Forest
Templar. And who do you think the Knights Templar got it from? Because they were fucking European white Catholics. Where do you think they got their ceremonial ritual from?
There's also rumors that the New Forest Coven had Roma influence as well. That there were either Romanis in the coven or that some magical, mystical folk practices were
There were
stolen.
definitely Romanis within the New Forest Coven because what's her name? Sybil Leek actually talks about being initiated by a Romani. So, and then we have the Horsa Coven, which comes from the Romanis. Also, love Peter Gundry.
I love Peter Gundry.
Please share the playlist. Okay, I will. I listen to like very oddly specific playlist. Like it'll be like a classical music playlist of like when you're the villain in the story and you're seeking your revenge. Like that's what it's titled. Period Storm. Period. The most powerful and empowering witchcraft is UPG based. When I got into academic study, it conflicted my practice. Maybe so. I've seen the opposite though, personally, where a lot of people don't want to see UPG. They don't like UPG.
When you think about it, though, that's what it was. I mean,
Leanne, I'm not really
Scott
sure what you
Cunningham.
mean by like a fake white person. Also, I don't have an issue with white people because I'm also white, for the record. Like, we're multicultural, multiracial over here. I don't have an issue with white people. That's not my issue. Datura says, I listen to him during my morning commute when I get off work and I'm drunk with power. Can't nobody tell me, period.
Okay.
Yeah, no, my father's side, like, keep in mind, from the East Coast, my father's side, they say they're like Greek, but like every white family on the East Coast thinks they're Greek or Italian or Sicilian. So who really knows? My mother's side, I know for sure because my grandmother immigrated to this country. So I know exactly where we're from. Oh, you're making a joke. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm a little spicy right now because I'm hungry and I need to eat.
Uh-oh. Not mother being hangry.
I'm a little hangry, babe. And I also have to go pee. But I'm having so much fun doing this. And I don't want to end it. So maybe I'll just like go pee and leave you guys to deal with the kids while I go pee.
Yeah, you can do that.
Ooh, mischief.
Is that cool? Like you can handle the chat while I go pee? Can you guys see the comments?
No.
Really?
I mean, when you pop them up, yeah.
Can you see them, Hex?
I can bring up the comments, but then I can't see the screen at all, only the comments.
All right, well, fuck. I gotta go.
No, but
pee.
I don't mind doing that. I don't mind just looking at the comments.
Okay,
you guys
I gotta go
right?
pee, y'all. Go get you a snack. We'll have an intermission. I'm gonna leave you with your aunties and uncles while I go pee.
Oh, now we got pressure. We're on the spot. What are we gonna do? I guess I'm gonna say this real quick. When we were talking about Wicca, I'm a proud failed Wiccan. You know, I have no problem with it. I definitely started that. I think even Jasmine said that it was like a gateway religion.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
As a right, just like almost like a crossroads, or like on my way, right? So for me, Wicca opened the doorway for me to my path of witchcraft, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, you know, I based it, like, at least ritual structure wise, my ritual structure wise can be Wiccan, where if I'm doing anything ceremonial, I will cast my circle, calm my quarters, invoke deity, you know, and stuff like that. Now, with that said, in my personal practice, I don't always feel that depending what I have to do, that I always have to cast a circle. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like with my personal practice, sometimes like if it's something I have to make real quick or anything like that, like I almost travel to where, okay, it's almost like it's become a headspace for me.
It's an energetic shift.
Okay, I take myself into ritual.
Yeah. It's a shift almost that like you like transcend out of this space. I wouldn't say personally, I wouldn't say it was like Witchflight, but it's almost like a lower grade of Witchflight where it's like you transcend the space and it's almost like being in your head but in a spiritual setting, and you transcend the space and transcend time and you lose time and stuff like that, but you're still in the physical and you're doing the work and you're feeling the energy of the herbs and seeds and whatnot, and you're feeling it blend together and almost beacon out into either attracting or propelling or whatever it is you're doing. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so awesome. Like you put it into the perfect words.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say real quick, I don't have a problem with Wicca. It's more like when people try and make it seem like it's the truth or something like that. That's kind of where I was coming from. Or the only way. Yeah. So that's I just wanted to clarify that, make sure nothing got lost in translation. I have no problem with Wicca. I started off it. I definitely don't do it anymore. Most of my Wicca things that I do is like altar placement, and that's very loose. And the sabbats, and that's pretty much it. Like that's all that survived. But yeah, you know, as long as it's not being problematic, I don't got a problem with it. So that was the fastest pee, mother.
I had to pee.
You mentioned you were hungry. Are you sure you don't want to grab a quick snack or anything?
Yeah, I thought you would grab.
We can hold the house down.
Honey, I'm skinny. I'm skinny.
Even skinny legends have to eat.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
So I wanted to say real quick, so for me, right, the door with my Nematon is the way I've successfully accessed the other world before. And so You have the mirror jumping, the shape-shifting ritual as well. With that said, there's a lot to do with the spirit you worked with, Victoria Maria. There's a tradition in Latin American countries, not just Mexico or anything like that, but Latin American countries where the witch
Is an owl.
is an
right?
owl, and so she shapeshifts into the owl in order to take flight.
Right. Right. And I
so
made
it
a
is then
video.
in
I
this
made a video about this like a year and a half ago before I even knew about this. And I was talking about the similarities between Italian and Latin American witches and the owl archetype, the striges, or the there's a name for it in Spanish that I am spacing on right now.
lechuzas.
Yes.
Lechuzas.
Thank you. So I took Spanish 4 years of high school, but it's like piss poor. Okay. My first language is English, but even that is hard
Same.
sometimes for me. My second language is Arabic, and my third language is like Spanish. But my Spanish is like, I can cut your hair in Spanish. I can cuss you out in Spanish.
Oh, I love that.
You know how like the nail ladies can talk to you about your nails, right? But you can't really always talk about nails. That's me in Spanish. Like, I'm like, hola, ¿cómo estás? Me llamo Yasmina, la peruquera. And what are we doing?
I love it. I love it.
I love it.
Like, I'll cut your hair. No, because Hex, it's so crazy because like where I work, you know, I work at a men's barber shop. I work with all men, and I predominantly cut men's hair, and I do like fades and beard details and all that. About 2 days a week. And I get so many Latinx or whatever clients, right? Because they see me and they're like, oh, we want her. Thinking that I speak Spanish.
I love
and
it, though.
I can somewhat. And it's so funny to me because they're like, oh, your parents didn't teach you? I'm like, bro, like, my dad is white as fuck. And my mom is Arab. So no, they didn't teach me Spanish. But they mistake the type of brown, you know?
Yeah. I feel that. Oh, Hex, I have a question before I forget. You said, first of all, I want to make sure I'm saying it right. You said Nematon, right?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, with the Nematon, does it have any connection to like a grove or like trees?
So, oh my God.
Okay.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yes. So the Nematon is based on the Druid's Grove.
Yes.
Sacred space as well. So traditionally Druids would do ritual casting, whatever you want to call it. They would, with their gatherings, would take place in a grove of different types of trees, right? And again, these are like the different trees that are part of the Ogham, all the different trees, part of the Wheel of the Year, and stuff like that. You can identify with all of these trees, but it was a grove where all of these different species of trees lived with each other, so it was a sacred space. And so this Nematon, then that's how I access it. When I open my door, I see the tree first, right? As I'm opening the door and I'm entering, this grove is what is part of my Nematon. But then you can continue either walking or exploring or wandering, however you want to call it. And so for me, it's all part of the Hollowed Woods, because it is part of that. For me, I see the Hollowed Woods, and it's not just like oak trees or maple trees or anything like that. It's everything.
Well,
I love that.
When I see the Hollowed Woods, I see like maple, willow, oak, ash, thorn, like apple, like the Hollowed Woods. It's like it's so many different types of trees.
It's all
growing in like the same forest that like they shouldn't be. Yes. And also here's T2, the more you try to like map out the Hollowed Woods, it's ever changing and it's ever growing. So you can't really like map it out. And every time you go to it, it's going to be different.
Yeah. But I just, when you mentioned that, I was like, it just kind of made me think about Nematona.
Yes,
Grove.
the name Nematona comes from Nematon. So
Yes.
the way I've heard Nematona, though, it's a deity. I believe it's like a goddess of sacred space. And I believe she's Celtic or Druid.
Well, Druid's part of the Celtic.
Yes.
It's part of the same. Yeah,
it's a part of those traditions. And so, Nematona is the deity for sacred space, and that's where the name Nematon comes from.
Yeah, so it's so cool because, like, well, a lot of people, I think, because Druidry and Celtic folklore and practices spirituality, because it's so known or so popularized. Which is kind of weird because they didn't write stuff down, so I'm not sure how it got so popular. But anyway, tangent. Is that it doesn't actually just stay within the Celtic traditions. It's also within like Gaulish tradition as well as Slavic, and that's where I kind of have a connection to it, because in the Bowman practice we have a folk spirit called Nemitka.
Okay.
And it's the same concept. It's a we don't see her as a deity. We see her more as like a descended folk spirit that travels with us. So if we have to leave the forest, or if the forest gets destroyed, unfortunately, like that happens, we'll collect her. That's kind of a weird way to put it, but we'll take her out of there, and we'll find a new forest. We descend her spirit in a grove, and that will be her throne, and then that'll also be considered the temple that we go to when we want to do like holy ceremonial work and stuff like that. So
this is so cool. Oh my god, that is so neat.
Yeah.
It's the Nematon. It's the same thing.
It is.
That's so cool. I love that. Again, like here we're going from unverified to verified, it's funny because we all have a different name for it, but like it is something that is things that are common, right, in different magical practices. This is so neat. I love it.
I just wanted to make sure that's why I wanted to ask first. I was like, I wonder if it's because it sounds so similar to the goddess name Nematona. I'm just like, is it a false cognate? Does it just happen to sound similar? It's like, so I wanted to ask first. I'm just like, as soon as you confirmed it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like our
so how do I say it in your wording? Like how do you call it?
Nemitka. Nemitka.
Okay. See, I would say like in Arabic, we would say like namta.
Okay.
Oh, I like that. That's cute.
Okay.
So is that a thing? Is that an Arabic spirit or goddess, or is that just like a translation thing?
No, just like a translation. I mean, I'm not an academic scholar. Y'all know this, okay? So maybe there is like a correspondent, but I'm just translating the best I can. And we would say like namta in Arabic.
That's pretty though. I like that.
Oh my god, I should have worn my contacts because I can't read these comments. I'm so sorry. Datura Rose, when I hear three folks fear-mongering, the plague of mortals is none of my concern. Or the threefold. Yeah. Girl, fuck a threefold to begin with. Because listen. When people say that witchcraft is not political, do your research. Look at the Gospel of Aradia. Look at the liberation of Haiti. It's very much political.
I love me the Gospel of Aradia, by the way. Like I have an appreciation for it, like
I own multiple different copies. I own the original Italian, but I also own the English translation. And like people who are complaining about me talking about the devil in gold, about Lucifer, being like, oh, I'm a witch. We don't work with Abrahamic stuff. Babe, Lucifer was in Roman pagan mythology
That part, though.
before the Abrahamic texts even mention him. Because in the Quran, if we're looking at the devil, we're looking at either Shaitan or we're looking at Iblis. And Iblis as like the king of jinn, or Shaitan as in the devil. Kind of, but not really. If we're looking at Judaic texts, Lucifer is not mentioned. If we're looking at Christian texts, Lucifer is not mentioned until Christianity is brought from the Middle East into Europe, which I have a very unpopular opinion, if I could just say. So,
Please do.
cultural appropriation, big topic, right, amongst witches. Valid. I think that we should be very sensitive about what cultures we're taking from. But also, the Christians, the Jews, the Muslims, it all comes from the Middle East. I encourage you to go into your local Southern Baptist church and tell them that they're appropriating Middle Eastern culture. Let me know how that goes. Let me know how well that goes for you. Because these neo-pagans online trying to act like some kind of social justice whatever, you're sick. Am I right or wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just like...
For me, it's like you're putting yourself in like a very limited, small box. Like,
yeah.
And that's why for me, I grew out of the... Again, I'm not shitting on Wicca or anything and again, I took concepts from that worked for me. You get what I'm saying? Like when it comes to ritual structure and stuff like that, it can be very Wiccan based. I can get very Wiccan based and stuff like that sometimes when I feel the need. Like if I'm celebrating a Sabbath and I want to catch myself.
We can get Wicca. Okay.
Yeah, but for me, that's limiting. Like it's, to just proclaim that one path and that's it. Like, come on. I mean, look right now, everything we just spoke about, Nematon, Nematona. Can you say it? Because I don't want to butcher.
Oh, Nemitka.
And so right there, that goes from like, verified in Druidic with the Nematon. But then, but for me, of course, like it's something I came across, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person who travels through a Nematon. But it's like my way of doing it. And then here you go, confirming the same thing, just in your own magical practice and in the way you've learned it,
Yeah.
But it is the same thing.
Completely. Oh, well, maybe not completely, but yeah, it is the same thing. There's so much overlap.
Where like right now, like I've made a connection, and it's like, yeah.
You can hit your vape on YouTube. It's fine. Like, just not TikTok or Instagram.
Oh, do not tell me
you can
that,
totally smoke
I will
on
roll
YouTube.
Me
they don't
up
care.
Something real quick.
Like, they don't care, babe.
I guess we're doing that today.
But no, like, that's kind of where it goes from UPG to SPG, where it's like witches from different cultures, right, are experiencing the same things. And I think there's a lot of value in that.
Same.
And the shape-shifting. I mean, if we look at folklore from different witches of different cultures, different folkloric witches from different backgrounds, like in Latin America, is it Lechuza?
Lechuza, yes.
Okay, like taking the form of owls, but we also see that in Italy, right? And then in like Western Europe, it's like taking the form of hares or rabbits. But in the Middle East, witches take the form of black jackals or serpents. So, but this is a thing that all of us witches can tap into, Witchflight specifically. We can tap into regardless of our tradition, regardless of our culture. We might experience it differently. We might call it by different names, but it is the same current, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and with us, we actually we will transform into either, depending on the part of the globe, as either black crows, as either crows or ravens, and we'll specifically travel through the Tribunal Vadeur, or the witch's door, or the tree ward, and that's how we'll go. It's almost kind of seen as, we refer to it as realms, but one could say that's like crossing dimensions, if you will.
So the what did you call it? The tree thing? I'm sorry.
The tree ward, is that what you're talking about?
The tree ward, yes. The tree ward. I'm sorry, I blanked out real quick. So the tree ward you use as your doorway.
Yes.
As your door into the other world.
Yes.
That's neat.
Yeah.
So you would fly through it. You take your form first and then fly through it?
Yes, we transform into the crow, and then we fly through the Tribunal Vadeur, or the witch's door, into, and we'll usually do this at the temple, so at the grove. But
so you bring yourself to your grove, Nematon first, and then from there you take form, and from form you take flight.
Yes.
Cool. That's neat.
So, like, we will use our witch's fetch as a part of our black soul, because we believe in like a 3-soul paradigm: the white soul, the red soul, the black soul. We use our fetch to like go outside of ourselves and you know, spy and be mischievous. But we also use our fetch because when you're in the other world, you want to wear a mask. You don't want to just like be yourself, right? We also use our fetch to get to the Sabbath in the other world. But like, you don't have to always shapeshift. But shapeshifting, in my opinion, is very important for a witch to know how to do in the other world. It's not a requirement, but it's very important.
It can very much protect you. A lot of people are scared of, you know, flying and stuff like that, but it's like, if you know how to shapeshift, that's going to be a lot of the protection right there.
Yeah.
I am like bewildered by the fact that we just like made a connection about the Nematon. Like, that is so cool.
And across the world, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, because for me, I learned, of course, Nematon is very specific through druidic paths and stuff like that. You know, but that's so cool that, you know, it's not just druidic.
Learning of its the Celtic/Druid connection and practice is what actually got me to question more of our traditions and practices. And it's like, okay, what else is correlated with other influence? Because I know we got a lot of Jewish influence, and you know, we were originally in Carpathia and then Bohemia when it was a country, so we got all that Slavic influence.
Lady Ravenmoon says, I'm ready and willing to learn shapeshifting. I mean, I talk about it in the book, you know? But how would y'all break shapeshifting down in your own words?
Oh, I'm gonna go last, because our idea of shapeshifting is not fun.
For me,
I don't want to scare anyone.
I literally have a whole shape-shifting ritual in the book,
which is really good. For me, I usually start like, I take my time with it. This isn't something that I do like if I'm on a limited time or anything like that. Like, you know, it's something I would do maybe on my day off if I'm really trying to like spend a while or stuff like that. You know, like I don't want to do it on break when I'm at work or anything like that, or on lunch or anything like that. So I start little by little. So then for example, me, I have a few different animals which form I take. my first I call them power animals, but like that was like back then how I learned to call them. Some people call them spirit animals,
Yeah.
totem animals. It all depends on your totem, your personal fetch. Totem depends. For me, it can change. But it all depends. So for me, usually, it's easier for me to take flight. If I like see myself as some type of bird, right, or having some type of wings, right. So I've seen myself as a bat. I've also seen myself as like a dark winged dove of some kind, or some type of dark winged bird. And again, I've also traveled as an eagle, like really high up, like almost predatorial in a way, where I'm really high up for my own protection, looking down, kind of, not expecting there to be anything coming up behind me. But so for me, usually, flight is easier when I take the form of something that does fly or have wings or something like that. With that said, if I was then taking a form of like a wolf, which is one of my power animals, I would think of that perspective, right? Of like, how low to the ground will I be, or how close to the ground, or like how, like posture, and like all of that you take into consideration, and they might be hard in the beginning, but as long as you start somewhere, like for me, I like to like feel like, okay, if I'm taking the form of a bird, let's say, right, I would like to feel my claw, like my legs, and the claws, and all of that, and like my feathers, and
Well,
kind of like
Hex, can I ask you, like,
strut my
do you
stuff.
feel, Hex, that you have a fetch, or do you feel that you shapeshift into different animals based on your experience? Or
So I
do you
get
feel
specific
connected to like a
animals that
fetch?
I work with, but if my personal fetch is a toad, okay, for me that that is my familiar. Like if I was to pick a familiar, I connect with toads. I don't know why. It's like I'm like, okay, like it wouldn't be my first pick, but at the same time, it's just.
No, and there's been witches who have connected with toads before that have been like, I don't want this. And I'm like, babe, a toad is like the poison path. It's like the
Yes.
Vanikium. It's like literally the liminal. Like, people think, ew, toads. No, toad is powerful, actually.
Yes. They're actually my protective animal. So, like in our tradition, not to go too far off topic, but because of the correlation of the toad is one of my animal guides. And in Bowman tradition, it's believed that everyone has at least 12, and that those that are Chuviani, or like magical or witch, they'll have a 13th one. And that's kind of, in simple terms, that'll be like the familiar, I guess. But one of them uh, is, and the toad, excuse me, is mine, and it's specifically my protective spirit. So, but did you get to finish,
Me?
Hex? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes. So for me, what I was trying to say is that changing my perspective to that of what you're trying to shift into helps out a lot.
Yes. So when it comes to Witchflight, or what we call wind riding, we technically do two methods. So to keep it on topic, I'll just talk about the shape-shifting method. But the other method involves some mortar and pestle, and I'll leave that there for now. So the shape-shifting method, the reason why I wanted to go last is because I didn't want to scare anyone off. Just because this is how we do it doesn't mean it's how y'all have to do it.
Honey, you're not gonna scare people off from my page.
Is this like Baba Yaga style in a mortar and pestle kind of?
Yes, she's seen as our witch mother, the original witch, and the one that her blood is in all the witches.
I love it.
So when we want to travel in our human form, we use the mortar and pestle. But if we're gonna especially go through the Triviano Vador, then or the witch's door, then we will turn or shapeshift into the crow. And the way we do that is we break every bone in our body. Not literally, but but we actually like I don't know, I don't know if there's ever been like a show or movie or anything, but you just kind of see like it's not just breaking the bones, but like it's literal. Think of like werewolf shape shifting. That's what we're doing. So like, but only the bones change. So the bones are deconstructing, breaking, and genetically mutating into the skeleton of the crow internally, and so then like our body will go to the ground as our bones are breaking and morphing. They're also simultaneously getting sucked into a black cauldron, which is like our lower realm part. This goes into like, I haven't made a post yet, but it's I'm gonna talk about it. It's very lengthy, but in a nutshell, there's like the white cup and the red clay cooking pot, and then the black cauldron. And in the black cauldron is where the crow will come out fully immersed, and then it flies out of our mouth, and then we fly either through usually through the Triviano Vador, and then we'll go wherever it is we're going, and then we'll just go through the astral realm as the crow. But that's how it is. And then when we want to come back, we have to fly through the Triviano Vador, and then into the mouth, and then the crow dismantles. Well, actually, it dissolves first. Almost like an acid is in the cauldron kind of vibe. So it dissolves till it's nothing but bones, and then the bones get spat out of the cauldron, and they start breaking and transmuting back into our bones, and
it's very much back. Giving Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
Now, I want to point out real quick how you said the crow enters and exits your body through the mouth, because that's when I take
while y'all are doing this, I'm gonna go pee. I'll be right back. Okay.
Get your snack.
I'll get a snack, but your mother has a weak bladder. Okay. She has a weak bladder. She has to go pee every hour on the hour. I'll be right back.
Hey, let me tell you, it does not feel like 2 hours just went by.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Well, my thing is like, can we do this on TikTok after?
Sure. I'm down.
I'll be able to hop on, but I'll be on chat. I'll chat.
No, hop on.
How?
Hop on.
I think it's a way to do it. I think it's a way.
I'm sure there's like an invite or something.
Yeah, I think there's an invite.
Okay.
Wait, let me go pee. Hold on.
But you were saying you wanted to say something about the mouth or something?
Yes, when I take the form of a toad, it comes up my mouth.
Yeah, I'm starting to think it might be a very trad witch thing, because there was a lot of trad witchcraft in the show Salem, and they used the mouth.
How to control their husband with the toad in the mouth. Yeah,
yes.
That for me, I was like, ooh, I felt it. Yeah, such a good show. I'm so mad.
I was so mad it was over.
Such a good show. Like,
oh my gosh! But the last season, when the elements were ripped out of her body because she was losing her magic, phenomenal scene.
I hated that.
Very traumatizing.
I was like, how dare you take away her power?
I was waiting for her to like fully retaliate and like overpower and keep her magic, but part of me kind of wonders if she didn't want to, so she almost let it happen. I'm gonna have to rewatch it now, because I don't know if that's like.
There's so many series that we had. Like, I used to like Witches of East End. I used to like The Secret Circle. I don't know if you remember that one.
I do. I didn't. Like, I don't think I saw the whole thing, but I did like what I did see of it. I need to watch the whole thing though, because I missed so much.
Would be my all-time favorite.
Yeah, but I have to be honest. You know, once like Witches of East End and Salem came out, I'm not gonna lie, Salem trumps OG Charmed even.
Oh yeah.
Salem trumps OG Charmed. Like in circles.
Witchcraft. Any movie, anything witchcraft, yeah.
Yeah.
Salem for me was like, that is where it's at. Like I tell you, I thought it would do more. Like, it was so good, at least for me.
I
I
think
was
it was ahead
enjoying
of
it.
its time.
That could have easily been like a 7-season, 8-season show.
I think it was just ahead of its time. You know, I think if it had come around when Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina came out, I think it would have done so much better. But
Oh,
that
for
was still a time.
sure.
That was still a time when everyone was like love and light in the witchy community, and when like people were still very, very, very attached to like Abrahamic thinking and beliefs, even if they weren't identifying as a Christian or anything of that. There was still a lot of that normalization, and you can't put that on the TV. You're influencing our children type of speech. Like, we still hadn't really fully came out of the satanic panic, if you catch my driftwood.
I really think that that if this pandemic served for one thing, it was to really get a lot of people looking into their ancestry and what they can tap into, and their own, looking for their own place in their spirituality, and connecting right with what is ancient, what reclaiming what is ours, you know, um regardless of what culture you come from,
Yeah,
or nationality or anything like that, you know.
agreed.
I said different forms spirit guides may reach out to you at different times. Some are hereditary in origin, some personal based on your path at the time. Yep.
Yes,
Just like
agreed.
some deities can come and work if you work with deities. You know, not everyone identifies with deities. I do work with deities and spirits and other beings, and so yeah, some deities are temporary, and they show out for a time being, for lessons we have to learn, and then others stick around, and it all depends.
Yeah, that's actually something that plays a part in my practice. Back when I was, I guess I can't say when I was Wiccan, because this was technically post Wiccan, but also pre like Bohemian studies, like before Baba, not Baba Yaga, but my Baba, my grandmother that passed on Bohemian or is passing on Bohemian culture, tradition, language, etc. But so this middle period after Wicca, but before that, um, and I got a lot of flack for it, honestly, in the beginning. I had these. I still have them. With the Sabbats, I actually associate a deity and will temporarily work with the deity during that, like Samhain tide or Lammas tide or whatever. So, like right now, I'm like, I kind of work, and I say work very loosely. Like I don't do a lot of intimate stuff, but it's kind of like some of it's like reflection. Some of it's like just acknowledging the presence of the deity. Some of it might be receiving wisdom. So it's like it's kind of whatever happens when I'm working with it. And then, I say farewell when the season's over. And then, with this time when Mabon comes around, in like what, a week and a half, 2 weeks, I'll be working with Dionysus again. And I think this year I'm gonna go heavy on the wine. I might even make some wine. So
That's neat. That's neat. Right, and that's also important when it comes to what did I drop? Hold on. When it comes to even celebrating Sabbaths, right? Sometimes, whether we're caught up with the responsibilities
Okay, hold on. The Sabbath wine.
yes, that's what I was hinting at. The Sabbath
Now,
wine.
come
I didn't
on.
say it.
And also, I was doing my research over here, okay? And apparently, you can be invited as a guest to join someone else's live. You don't have to have 1,000 subs on TikTok. You can be invited.
Okay.
Now, how do I invite people? That part I need to learn. But I would like to end this live stream because we're almost at 2 hours, and I have to be professional on YouTube. On TikTok, I don't. Okay?
I'm gonna have to pee though. Just saying.
Right. So, okay. So, what if we wrap this up and continue it on TikTok
The after party.
for the after party where
The
we can
after party.
actually get debaucherous? Okay. thank you all for listening. Leanne, Lady Ravenmoon, the Vioness, Animist, everybody in the chat. Shout out to y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Are we going to TikTok? Woo woo. Yes, we are. My TikTok is 3 Obsidian Eyes. Is my TikTok. It's not Jasmine Ambrosia because I shit post over there and I don't want it attached to my name. So 3 Obsidian Eyes is me on TikTok. So follow me over there. And Hex, Bougie, I hope that you will join me over there. Apparently, I can invite people with less than 1,000 subs. I just need to figure out how, is my thing. But we're going to do it. Let's do it.
I'm down.
Same.
And also, thank you guys so much for joining this live on YouTube. I really appreciate your love and your support, and also listening to your guys' backgrounds and how it relates to Witchflight. I appreciate you guys sharing that.
I appreciate the invite. This is so much fun. This is just
This
like
was fun.
good old
Thank you
YouTube
so
days.
much.
I've been missing this stuff so much. Like, no one really does this that much anymore.
No, because it's over on TikTok.
That's fair. I guess I'm old. I don't really TikTok.
You are. I'm literally older than you. I'm literally older than both of you.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, how old do you think I am?
Now, hold on. So, I'm going to end this stream, but we're all still going to be here. Okay? So don't go nowhere. I'm going to end this stream, though. Thank you all for joining this stream. Blessed be, and we will see you in hell.
Hail Satan!